Good morning, world. Well, I'm about to leave the Towai Hotel where I spent the night, out the back on the lawn. Interesting place. The guy who runs it's Charlie, very nice man. He ended up sitting down and having a beer and had food there as well. I figured, I'm not paying accommodation, so the least I could do is buy food. So I had a lovely lamb burger, actually, a lamb and mint burger. And it was really good. Actually, much better than what I expected, which is always good. On the bad side, though, was I shot a bit of footage at the end of the day yesterday before I put my tent up, showing where I was going to be camping. So I was so stoked to have found such a spot. But my tent had issues. Got to remember, I've only been using this tent for 2 weeks. It's not new, it's not old at all. And it has these junctions for the poles, where 3 poles go into one. And I hadn't really looked at them, but I think they're the end pieces, which the poles, the hollow pipe slides onto these like studs. And these studs, I think, must be pressed into the circle metal joining part. The car looks like it's been turned, a bit of aluminium. So when I put the tent up, one of the poles it felt like it had broken off. It actually snapped off one of those mounting bars. But on closer inspection, I realized it's not broken, it's just come out. So it's been pressed in and it looks like it has some sort of adhesive on it. And that wasn't good enough. It's come apart already. And while coming apart, it actually, well, when I was putting it up, and because I didn't realize it was broken, it put tension onto one of the poles and the pole slipped and it cracked the pole as well. So one of the end pieces on one of the poles is cracked. So I could strap the broken pole. I've had this sort of thing before. I could see how to deal with that, I should say. So I put one of the aluminium tent pegs I have, the flat ones. They're like dished. But I put one of them on with a bit of tape. So that basically on both sides of the crack there's now there's a metal piece of it. So I'm happy with that, that's not going to fail. The other part, however, I managed to get it to sit in position, like reassembled it, and I could put the tent up. It was a very, very fiddly thing to do. I had to undo the bungee rope from the inside, the bungee cord, and refit it all. And then I had to also there's a little washer on it, and it was really fiddly. And then I put it together and the cord went straight through the hole, and I was like, okay, that doesn't work. So I tied a bigger knot, bigger than it had standard. Standard had a very small knot. So I tried a bigger knot so it wouldn't go through. And then just after 2 attempts, I managed to get the little metal bar insert part to keep position. It's under a lot of tension, that part, so once in place I was quite confident it would remain, and it did. That was a calm night. It doesn't give you much faith in it though. Like, I'm not 100% sure how much grip it still had into the circle metal joining piece. When I took it apart this morning, it fell apart again. The metal bar slid straight up the pole again. So it's going to be a pain to put up again. what they needed to do is where the bar goes through this circle metal piece, it's got a section in the middle where you can access, and you see the bar pokes through a little bit. They needed to put like a small hole through it, like a 1mm hole, and then put something through the hole so it can never come out again. Not a press, fit and glue, actually pin it in position. And this would never happen. This is of course going to be more expensive to manufacture, but come on, they're not a cheap tent anyway. So I'm very disappointed in that. And of course I'm up in the middle of essentially nowhere. How am I ever going? There's no way I'll be able to get some sort of warranty or anything up here. I have to wait till I get back to, realistically, back to Hamilton. Take it back to the shop I bought it. That's like 3 weeks, 4 weeks away. I've only used it for 2. So yeah, not happy about that. Don't get me wrong, I love this tent. This tent is wonderful. It's so good. But it's small things like this. You can see where they've, in my opinion, cut corners. The idea of just pressing and gluing is definitely a cost. You know, I'm sure the engineers would have been, put a pin in it, mount it properly. But the accountants and marketing would go, but couldn't we save money by gluing it? Don't have to drill a hole, don't have to put a pin. Just glue it. And that's the problem when accountants run businesses and marketing people run businesses. But it is what it is. There's nothing I can do about it right now, which is most frustrating. So for the next few weeks, my tent's going to be a right pain to put up. Maybe today I can get access to a phone and call up the shop in Hamilton and say what happened, so at least it's on record as have failed now. I was actually really concerned yesterday that with that broken tent, when I couldn't get it to go up, because I tried bracing and taping what I thought was broken initially. It just can't be done. It's such a specific angle it has to be on. You have to use that bracket. And I was truly devastated. So my tent wouldn't work. That would have meant, well, last night I would have had to fork out the money for that accommodation at the place I was. Fortunately, there was a place. Just imagine there wasn't one. As in a hotel. Just imagine you're in the woods, like backpacking. And that happened. And you couldn't figure it out. Like, I was fortunate to figure it out. You'd be truly buggered. The tent just won't go up. It's all floppy. It's a major problem for an expensive tent, a high quality tent, to fail after 2 weeks. But as I said, imagine I couldn't get it together. I'd have to fork out $80 to $100, I'm thinking 80, for a room last night. And I literally would have had to cycle to the town I'm going to now, which is about 20 kilometres away. I can't remember the name. When we get close, I'll see a sign. But cycle to this town, most likely have to find a cheap hotel, which I can't afford. But I suppose I can, because the next thing would be getting a bus or some sort of transport south. Go home. Sort this out. And that would destroy this trip. Just like that. Got bang, gone. And I'm still worried about it. I still don't feel confident in my tent. I'm always worried. Like last night, at some stage it could just pop out and that's it. I'm screwed. Lucky I had daylight and calm weather when I was putting the tent up. If it's windy or something, man, or raining, spending 20 minutes, half an hour fiddling around with little washers and metal bars trying to put up a tent, or one little part of a tent, like it's raining or windy, and then hoping it stays in place and doesn't just suddenly pop out again when you're in the tent. Just imagine at night time that popping out, and now what do I do? I'd have to get out of my tent and I guess try to repair it. Like you have to take the tent down to repair it. I'd take the pole down. It would just be a nightmare. Well, that's my moan for now. Sorry about such a negative start to the day. But it's a major deal for me. It's like in the house you live in, if suddenly your roof doesn't stay up properly, you know? A major structural beam is broken and you just prop it up by, I'll push it back in place and hope. That's essentially what I'm doing. I mean, of course, mine's not quite a dramatic thing, because if the pole does fail in your house, you've got a roof falling down. That's, possibly deadly. Where in my case it would be just fabric falling down. Possibly annoying and not possibly, it would be very annoying, but not I wouldn't say deadly. But yeah, I'll most likely contact Expert about this as well, because they need to be told. These things need to be addressed. Come on for about, what? You need 6 of those pins, 3 on each side. So 6 holes and 6 pins. We're talking about $1 or $2. I mean the pins. pins would literally cost, if they bought them in bulk, I mean, you're talking maybe a few cents each. Just get those press pins. That'd be ideal in there, not worth much. Drilling a hole, well, any milling machine can drill a hole. They could drill a hole, then, you know, put the pin in. Oh God, it's just such a nightmare. Knowing I've got a broken tent. It's not going well at the moment. My rear wheel's giving issues, my tent's now broken. This is becoming a rough tour. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. If it was easy, everybody would do it. On the plus side, it's a pleasant day today. It was actually quite chilly last night. When I woke this morning around 8 o'clock, it's about 9:30 when I left today. It's my usual time, it seems. I can't help it. But I struggled to get out of my sleeping bag, and I actually even zipped up my sleeping bag to sleep inside of it. Usually I've been using it as a blanket, just opened up. I'm using the sleeping sheet. And there's a dog. Well done, dog. You're making noise. No real reason. Yeah, so I'd usually just get in my sleeping sheet under the blanket form of a sleeping bag. But last night I had to wrap myself into the sleeping bag, like zip it up. Zip it up. And I was warm enough, I didn't get cold. But this morning, getting out of the sleeping bag was, oh, I don't want to get out, it's cold, sort of thing. It was about 12 degrees, going by my little alarm clock temperature thing, which isn't that cold. It's just the difference in temperature when it's been constantly, you know, late teens at night. To drop down that low is a bit of a shock to the system, you could say. I remember when I lived in Egypt, how of course it's very hot in Egypt. Very dry, hot. In the winter in Cairo, if it gets down to the mid to low 20s, it's deemed a cold day. Now after living there for a year or so, you get acclimatized. On those days you actually put a blanket over yourself in the living room sort of thing, because you feel the cold. You go and meet your group of tourists who have just freshly arrived from usually the UK and Europe, where it's winter, and they're going, oh, it's so hot. You go down to Aswan where it's the mid-20s and the locals are wearing puffer jackets, and they're just looking at them going, this is insane. because they're so hot, just because they're not acclimatized. One day in Egypt I went to the Valley of the Kings, and apparently it got up to 50 degrees that day, which is insanely hot. And we had to climb, or was an option to climb over the back of the Valley of the Kings, over what they call the Magic Mountain. And you don't have to, you can always just take a taxi back. We ride donkeys to get there, but we ride them at dawn, so it's not hot. God, this hill suddenly just went up. Of course it went up the hill. So I told my group, after they'd seen all the various tombs, who wants to climb the mountain? No one did, apart from one guy. His name was Ed. He was a cool guy, actually, I liked him. And to be honest, I didn't mind climbing it. But Ed and I climbed Magic Mountain in the hottest day I've ever been in. And the rest of the group got a taxi over to the Valley of the Workers, which was where we were walking to. But yeah, so different temperatures, you know, the sudden change in temperature is what is really the issue, not the temperatures. But you can see how the white line beside me is it's so close to the edge of the road, and you've seen as you've seen there are a lot of trucks today. So you don't really want to be wobbling along. Well, in this part here, I wouldn't even be able to ride. I'd have to go on the inside on the white. These roads are disgusting. New Zealand has the worst roads, man. That's what happens when they privatise the building of roads, isn't it? Everything's done on the cheap. I don't think they'd even consider the idea of a bicycle coming here. Let's save money. It's much better than saving a bicycle. It's still too dangerous. I want to get back on a ride, but I'm on a corner. I have to go out into that white line. The car could come flying around that corner and kill me. I'm stuck walking now. This is ridiculous. Ah well, I'll stop my moaning. I'm sure you're sick and tired of it by now. I'll have a drink of water. I've been rambling on for too long. Done almost 6 kilometres. It's 10 o'clock now. I believe it's a Friday in mid-February, 18th, 19th, something like this I imagine. I really am losing track of time on this ride. This is normal. But it has been a very disjointed ride because like visiting friends is something I've never done on a ride. Well, that's a lie, I have. but it's not a common thing to do on a ride. But yeah, when I said I haven't, it's a lie, because I actually did visit a friend in Romania, in Bucharest, when I rode through Romania, which was really cool. He's a really nice guy. He makes short films and advertising and such. He's a wonderful director. Very creative man. He's the sort of guy you'd love to give the footage I make, their whole 360 thing, give it to him and say, do something with this, man. But yeah, that's not going to happen. I can't carry all the data. I've got to edit it myself every day. It's my penance for deciding to video. Back up another hill. See, if the road was wide like this nice verge which is about to disappear, this whole thing would be a lot easier to deal with. I wouldn't be terrified going up these hills of a car flying up from behind or a lorry pushing me off. You know, I did say I was going to be quiet, stop my moaning. So I'll be quiet, if I can. It's difficult sometimes. But for all intents and purposes, I am just talking to myself. There's no one here, as you can see. I'm just crawling up a hill in north of New Zealand. So hopefully one day someone will hear this and go, yeah, you really are a boring, moaning person. Oh well, I'll be quiet for a bit now. As we descend down this hill, past a wee pond with some cows. Let's call it the cow pond. And Vincent's bike ride continues. My camera makes a little bing bong noise after it videos half an hour on the 360 lens. It stops for a few seconds and restarts. So goes the noise, and when I edit this, these could often be the starts of new videos, new segments, so hence I'll say hello again, for me anyway. It's only been half an hour since I started. In the first half hour I just moaned about my tent breaking, and that was the main feature. So if you missed it, you didn't miss much. So if you're interested in what happened to the tent, you could refer to that clip, which may be part of this video, I don't know. Editing, who knows what will happen. Anyway, at the end of the last clip I did say I was going to be quiet, and then a minute later or so the camera went and beeped, and yeah, I started talking again to say, hello world, welcome to Vincent's bike ride, and all that jibber jabber. So I will now live up to what I said and be quiet so you can enjoy the scenery of Northland, New Zealand. 63 kilometers an hour. .64 kilometers an hour. That'll be that. Let's take a drink of water. It's getting hot. It's very humid today, it feels. I'm sweating profusely. Oh, that's terrible English. And the sweat was actually dribbling down into my eye, my right eye, which was annoying. But downhill now. There we go, the next town's Kawa. Welcome to the Bay of Islands. Oh. I always think going to the Bay of Islands is where I'm heading. But of course it's a bay. Obviously it has islands in it. But it's at the seafront obviously because it's a bay. And I think, well, I'm on a hill at the moment, aren't I? Because I'm going downhill. So I think, well, at least where I'm getting to is going to be downhill in the end. I've come to learn there's a thing called a cliff. So maybe there's cliffs instead. Oh, that was close. It's a terrible section of road. A lot of lorries, very narrow, very bumpy on the side here. Better, bit of room. The Bay of Islands is, we'll get there hopefully today. We'll see what that's about. I think I shall have to stop shortly, as coming up to the 1 hour mark since I started cycling, and that's about the duration of the battery for my camera. So I might do that now actually. I can get my feet out of the cleat. There's that one, and that second one's tight. Anyway, it's a nice bit of flat here, so off the road. So I'll be back in a jiffy for you guys. See you soon. And I'm back. Just outside of Kawa. Just put a new battery into my camera. We'll continue on this quite frankly dreadful road. So I'll be stopping at Kawa. A few things there. One of them being rather odd is the toilet. I'm guessing a public toilet. Apparently it's quite a masterpiece, so we'll definitely have to have a look at that. Also there's an information centre, and I always like to go to these things because now and again you'll find out some good information. So you never know which one's going to give it to you. Even though this is only the start of the day, I still might better find advice for camping areas later on today. I mean, it's 10:30 in the morning on whichever day of the week, Friday I believe. Yeah, it is Friday, I'm quite sure it's Friday, but I'm not sure of the date. I know it's February and the year is 2021. I haven't gone totally senile. Though some people might beg to differ on that point. A lot of people think anyone who does this sort of bicycle riding has to be crazy. I can't disagree. Oftentimes during a tour, I just think, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? It's just one of those things, yeah. I'm guessing that's the toilets, that sign. No, it isn't the toilets, I mean that's the sign where the toilets are, the Hundertwasser. Seems very German. Was is water. Always seems to I stop and then I come to a rest area where this has even got information. Okay. So Kawa, here we are. Let's go check out these toilets. Not something I was expecting to say. To be excited to see some toilets, but there you go. Welcome to New Zealand. The land of the Kawa special toilet. And this obsession with putting walls up when they do roadworks. Immunisation, I thought that said information. Don't want to go there. Oh crikey. Well, this looks like the town centre. This lady's showing it all. She's loving it. That beeping was Bay of Island Bakeries. Yeah, I might look at this bakery. So this is Kawa. Found a little bakery there. It was actually reasonably priced. Really good. Oh, so this is the toilets here. Where's the information centre? Goes the toilet. How's it going? Very talkative bloke. Have a quick look in here. I don't want to, I'm not locking my bike, so have a quick look to see what all the fame is about. Okay, so they're using bottles The windows. Glad there's no one in here. It would have been embarrassing. There you go. There's the toilet. Overrated maybe? I don't know, they're pretty cool. But we've seen them. I don't actually need the toilet, so I could do the toilet, but I can't be bothered. Now, information. No idea what that will be. Memorial Park. It's a very colourful area. This looks like somewhere you'd have an information centre. Oh, well, I'll stop recording now because I'm at a bit of a loss as to where to go. Bye for now.